Hi, and welcome to the Shelf Help interview. Today, I'm really happy to be joined by the brilliant Marianne Power, who is the author of the hottest new self-help book around, Help Me. Help Me is Shelf Help's book of the month, and I really love it because it's very funny. It also is a great introduction, I think, to self-help because it contains references to all the biggies. So we've got The Power of Now, Tony Robbins, Feel the Fear and Do It Anyway, The Secret. So it's like a bit like a selection box of self-help, I think. And it really mirrors what we're trying to do here at Shelf Help with the Book Club, where we take a different book and we kind of work through it each month, but maybe not to the same level of dedication as you, Marianne, hey? I mean, this is the third time that I've got to interview you, which is brilliant. The first time was on a hay bale in Wales, I think. The second time was at a fancy wine bar. And this is the first time since the book has launched, though. And so I'm really excited that it's going so well for you. So how are you today, and how are you feeling about, just first of all, about how getting the book out there?
Yeah, so the book, what are we now? The 27th of September. So the book came out in the UK on the 6th of September, came out in Ireland on the 12th, came out in Holland, it's coming out in Paris next week. So it's busy and gorgeous.
Yeah.
It's because it's such a build up when you've written a book and then there's a long delay before it gets published, and it's just this kind of waiting. So it feels gorgeous that it's now
Finally
out in the world. And something I can hold and stroke, and I do quite often stroke it.
I bet you do. Have you been into any bookshops yet and rearranged kind of?
Yeah, I went into Camden Waterstones and saw that it was on the side, and I didn't like the side spine. I wanted it to be fully full. Yeah, so I did. I rearranged.
Well, I love, so the subtitle is One Woman's Quest to Find Out If Self-Help Really Can Change Her Life. And your quest started as a blog, actually, didn't it, a couple of years ago? So why did you start the blog?
Well, the whole idea came, I was in my mid-30s and really quite unhappy and in a rut. Things were quite good on paper. I was a freelance journalist and lived in London and wore nice clothes, and on paper, things looked like they were going fine. But I was also always single, very in debt, just didn't know what I was doing. So at that point I was reading a lot of self-help books, and I've always read lots of self-help books, and friends used to laugh at me because I was a terrible advert for these books, with like titles like How to Stop Worrying and Start Living, and I was like worrying more than anyone. So I was a terrible advert. But then I just hung over Sunday in a flat I was living in Camden, actually, that I hated at the time, and just reading a self-help book on this hungover Sunday. And it just occurred to me that the reason these books never helped me was because I never did anything they told me to do. I would just read them and go, yeah, that's brilliant, and kind of imagine how great life would be if I stopped worrying or was more positive. But I never ever followed the advice. And so then I had this idea that for a year I wouldn't just read self-help, I would do it. And I would pick a different self-help. Really do it. So a different book each month that would tackle different areas of my life. And I would do it for a whole year. And by the end of the year, the plan was I would become like a perfect person. I would be, like across between Buddha and Beyonce. That was what I was going for.
I think we could all do with a bit of that. So not to give the game away, but the quest maybe, it didn't fail as such, but maybe it turned out a little bit different than you anticipated, as with lots of self-help journeys, I suppose.
Sorry, you've frozen now for a second.
You there?
Sorry, it froze there for a second. I can hear you.
Okay, no worries. I was just saying, so the quest, it didn't fail as such, but it probably turned out a little bit different than maybe you anticipated, as with lots of good self-help journeys. Do you want to tell us maybe some highlights, maybe one or two?
So I started the project with a book called Feel the Fear and Do It Anyway, which has been around since the 80s, and it's a kind of a self-help classic. And Susan Jeffers, the author, says that we should be doing at least one thing that frightens us every single day in order to be kind of pushing ourselves and growing and living a full life. So at the start of that month, I wrote a list of all the things that scared me, and it was everything from answering the phone, which I hate doing, and opening bank statements, to jumping out of a plane and doing stand-up comedy. So that first month was incredible. I did the stand-up comedy. I did naked modelling for an art class.
How did you decide what order to do the things in? Did you go for the biggies first?
No, the stand-up comedy was the most frightening thing I could think of, so that got left pretty much to like the second to last day of January. Like I made an executive decision that could just be ignored for as long as possible. I chatted up guys on the London Underground. That was quite early on in my month, and that was a flatmate suggested I do that, and I was like, no way am I doing that.
think that's probably one of my favourite bits of the book, because you read it literally like with your head in your hands, thinking, if this happened right next to me, I don't know what I would do. So if you're actually doing it, I can imagine.
I actually did it on the Northern Line in rush hour. I can't believe I did it actually, but I did do it. So yeah, that first month was extraordinary. It was really exhausting. I did more scary stuff in that month than I've done in my entire life. But it was exhilarating, and it made me realise I was capable of doing a lot more than I thought. So with the stand-up comedy, and I did public speaking as well, and they both went really well, much to my surprise, because I was someone who hated talking in meetings. I really know exactly that. The idea that those things actually went well, and people afterwards like, you're a natural, that blew me away. It was so not what I thought of myself.
And these things, you kind of build them up, don't you? And then so they're not as bad as you ever think they could be.
No, and the fear is so profound with anything around public speaking. You do it. I did it, and then for some people, it really doesn't go that well, and they have to keep working on it. But I got so lucky in that I got up there and was really able to do it. And
so now, you started a year on a high, really.
I started a year on a high, and then I followed it swiftly with a low, following a book called Money, a Love Story. I know you guys have just done Money in your last month, so that was all about finances, which is not a strong point. There was a lot of reality facing in that month, and so it kind of kept going up and down. So I did The Secret, which is a really famous self-help book that tells you can have anything you want in life if you just believe, with the law of attraction. So I went and road tested a Mercedes sports car, and then got the bus home. I did vision boards, and was really conflicted about, part of me does believe there's something in it, and then another part of me, my rational mind, was kind of going, oh, for God's sake, this is like lunacy, you're actually losing the plot. So it kind of kept going up and down and up and down, and I got to a place where it was really all getting too much. I was doing too much thinking about myself. It wasn't healthy to do the kind of amount of unpicking of myself that I was doing. And then I came across a book called The Power of Now, which one of your readers yesterday put a picture up of. And that was that's really been one of my favourite books since, and that's the book that I keep referring to.
Because I think with a lot of self-help, it's like, if you even take one amazing thing from a book, then that could be life-changing, can't it? So
totally, 100%. So there were the whole project did change my life in ways probably that I didn't necessarily expect it to. But with The Power of Now, that was the first time that I properly understood this. He describes really well what he calls records that we put on every day, and it's these thoughts that we have. So he says that when you're walking down the street and you're seeing someone talking to themselves, we think, oh, they're mad. But we're all mad, because we all have these voices going on, or most of us do, I think. Why did you do that? Why did you say that? Why did you do that yesterday? What's going to happen tomorrow? This kind of voice that's narrating
and generally negative, isn't it? It's generally
negative, and really ruining the moment, which is usually lovely. And so one of the questions Eckhart asks in his book is, do you have a problem right now, this second? Like, this second, do you have a problem? And the answer is almost always no. And when bad stuff is happening, when there is a problem, we usually surprise ourselves at how well we can deal with it. We just get on and handle it. So I try and have that in my head, and it doesn't always work, but I kind of, do you have a problem right now, this second? No, right now the sun is shining, we're having this chat. Right now, life is lovely, but we can ruin that by kind of worrying about what's coming tomorrow or next year, or
of course. You just mentioned about kind of part of there's a rational side to you that was like maybe kind of saying, what the heck are you doing? Were there actual real people saying that to you as well? I mean, what was the reaction to your, like, from friends and family?
So my Irish mother, who grew up on a farm and was not part of the Oprah generation, Mum, when I kind of explained the idea of positive thinking from The Secret to her, and these repeating these affirmations, and I was explaining positive thinking, and she said, you mean you delude yourself? And then I said, no, you just replace bad thoughts with good thoughts. And then she worried that it was going to make me all American. And I said, what do you mean by that? So she's happy, Marianne. People don't like that.
And she hates the word journey, doesn't she?
Hates the word journey.
Now that she's on the self-help circuit with you, though, she's probably heard it a few times.
It's amazing. She's a very popular character in the book. So she's taking to her new celebrity quite well.
Brilliant. I love this. I love there's a quote from your sister, I think, as well. We're talking about being open-minded, and
Oh yeah.
don't open your mind so much that your brain falls out.
Yeah, that was during Angel Month, and I was trying to talk to my guardian angels, which
Yeah,
works for people but didn't work for
it's
me.
not at all.
And she was just like, "Why are you doing it?" It's like, I
Yeah,
just want to be, I just want to understand why other people like it, and I want to be open-minded. And I accused her of being narrow-minded, and yeah, don't open your mind so much your brain falls out.
it sounds like you had quite a few reality checks along the way from different
Yeah,
people.
well, that's what family's for, isn't it? I'm blessed with a family that.
Yeah, and we're really, I mean, we're laughing about it now. There's some, I think the book's really funny and brilliant, but I think I've said this to you before about, I mean, we're saying, oh, it's funny, it's hilarious. This, when you chat the guy up on the tube, it's like made me die inside. But this is like your life and you lived it. So like, how does it feel when, I don't know, people tell you that they think it's hilarious or that it's...
I love it. So
good.
I grew up in an Irish house where like the worst sin is to take yourself seriously, and you must always kind of laugh, laugh at yourself and you'll always be laughing is one of the phrases. So yeah, the book is really funny and I wanted it to be funny. But while I was actually doing it all, I didn't really have a great sense of humor about it, because when I was doing it and putting myself through these really extreme situations, I was doing it with a very genuine heart. I wanted all of this to fix me. So in reality, I don't know that I was laughing about it that much. But then there was a bit of a gap before writing the book. And then with perspective, I could look back on it all and just go, oh my God, that was nuts.
Yeah.
I could see the funniness of it. But there's also a very serious side to the book where I was genuinely quite lost and trying to figure stuff out. So I hope that's what works with the book, that yes, it's very funny and entertaining, but there's also some kind of quite serious questions in it.
Yeah, of course. And what do you think, what was the biggest thing that you learned about yourself over the course of the project?
I learned, actually, Brené Brown was another author that I really loved. I did her after The Power of Now, and she wrote a book called Daring Greatly. And she talks about the fact that we're living in this not enough culture. So none of us feel like we're clever enough or successful enough or doing enough or rich enough or whatever enough. And that when we feel like this, we're not enough, we run around trying to be perfect and trying to do more. If we just go to the gym and get really fit, if I just drink green juice and get really healthy, there's kind of constant trying to be good enough. And ultimately trying to be perfect, which is what I was doing with this project. I thought that if I just tried hard enough, I could erase all my flaws and fix myself, and I would become this perfect person, not from an ego point of view, but almost then I thought, then I would feel good enough. If I really believed, every time I saw Elle Macpherson in a magazine talking about her getting up to meditate at 5 a.m. and then having a run on the beach, and like I would read all that stuff and go, oh, that's how you should be living life. And I learned through this project that, and this is what Brené Brown says, that, perfection does not exist in the human experience. None of us is designed to be perfect, and none of us is flawless. And we're all actually, it doesn't matter what it looks like on the surface. Most of us are struggling. There are good days and bad days. And I think I learned that really and truly during the book, that nobody is perfect, and I'm no better than anyone else and no worse than anyone else either. We're all just doing our best. And another thing she says is she doesn't like the term self-help, because she doesn't think we're meant to do it on our own. We're meant to help each other, which is why I love what you're doing so much. And that's what I learned too, that sometimes the answer is not to sit in a room on your own trying to figure stuff out with a self-help book. It's to talk to each other. And I wasn't good at that. I'm still not good at that. My tendency is to isolate. If I'm having a hard time, I withdraw. So I'm trying to learn more now to just, when I'm feeling a bit crap, to say it to someone, not because they're going to fix it, but just to say it. And
just to stop it just going around in your own head, and you don't always have all the answers, and none of us do.
No, and sometimes the most comforting thing ever can just be someone going, me too, yes, I know that feeling, it sucks. And then it's just to be in it together, which is, again, not my natural tendency, but it's something I realised throughout the journey. I can't believe I just used journey, sorry mum. But throughout the journey, I pushed my friends away because, I think they were quite worried about me, and I took that worry as criticism. But I really appreciated my friends very much at the end.
Yeah. Well, because I think one thing that really does come out through the book is how you were kind of often surprised by other people, by whether they were friends or strangers. That and so yeah, like when you do is it rejection therapy, where you have to kind of get rejected every single day, but quite often people said yes to your mad request.
Yeah, people were lovely. And again, I had these ideas about, I did silly things like I asked if I could pull my own pint in the pub and asked to join the band that was playing. And I made up all these stories of, the barmaid looked like a cow because she was wearing too much eyeliner. She wouldn't let me pull a pint. And the guys in the band looked too cool for school. And neither was true. They were just lovely. But most people are nice. But I certainly create these stories to protect myself, to kind of not interact with people.
Of course.
Yeah.
Have you heard from any of the authors or the gurus that you've kind of talked about?
No, I haven't. So F it John. I don't know if I can swear. I did a book called F It that I love. And John's an English writer who wrote that book, and he lives in Italy. So I was in touch with him while I was writing the book because he's written many books and he's a brilliant source of advice. But no, I haven't heard from anyone since it's come out.
Who would be your favourite? Who would be if you had a dream dinner party of self-help experts and gurus? Who'd be at the table?
My mum.
The original.
You know what? Honestly, by the end of the year, I just realised the total joy of being in the pub with my normal friends talking crap. So that's my favourite dinner party. And I love these books. I love the wisdom in them, but I'm kind of happy for these gurus to stay in the books.
Yeah.
And for me to live my normal life and go to sticky floored pubs and just watch telly and talk nonsense with friends and have a laugh.
I love
That's
it.
still my favourite dinner party.
Yeah, so taking the wisdom and then just kind of using it in real life. That's what it's all about.
Yeah.
Brilliant. Just one final question. What would be your hope for the biggest takeaway from the book? I suppose you probably would say, as you said before, that don't think that you have to be fixed.
Yeah. So that was at one point my best friend, when I was really cracking up with all the stuff that I had done, and I was putting myself under so much pressure to be perfect, and it wasn't working. The more I was trying to be perfect, the more aware I was of all my failures, and I was really cracking up. And my best friend G said she just wanted me to get to the end of all this and realise that I didn't have to jump out of planes or run on burning coals to be a good person, that people loved me the way I was. And when she said that, I didn't believe her. I just, no. But now I see that it's true. Like, most of us are just good people the way we are. We're all trying our best. And yes, read the books, and it's I learned so much, and I still read them, and I still want to kind of challenge myself, but I'm fine the way I am. Like, I'm not broken, and I don't need to be fixed, and neither does anyone.
Yeah.
We're fine the way we are. So that would be the biggest one.
I think that's good advice.
Yeah.
Do you want to tell us how we can find out more about you?
Ooh. Well, I'm available in all good bookstores, especially as I keep going around Waterstones and making me more visible. So bookstores, it's on Amazon, and then I'm on Instagram. I think it's Marianne Power Writer, and Facebook, I think, under Help Me blog. I've got different handles, which isn't very helpful. But look me up on Instagram is probably a good one to do.
Cool, and I can put the kind of handles on the notes here.
Yeah, brilliant.
YouTube.
Yeah, great.
Thank you so much for your time today.
Okay.
Take care.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.